Mike, let's start with the Bengals are on offense. And I think that where this game starts certainly is talking about the offensive line and dealing with the formidable front that is the Los Angeles Rams. I was watching that Vikings game. I fell asleep when I was getting to the Tampa game. I kept trying to watch the Buccaneers film and kept falling asleep. But in that Vikings game, Aaron Donald, man, that guy's just a cheat code. He does this in every game that he plays in, just teleports the way that Geno Atkins used to teleport, getting into the backfield on pass plays, on run plays. So starting there and looking at what the Bengals have done against the Titans, against the Chiefs to try to adapt the offense, more of the same, or are there some unique opportunities here against the Rams with how much they like to play single high?
Definitely more opportunities. When it comes to Donald, I mean, there's no stopping him, and this will be one of my new 52 articles this week in slowing him down, is just, you got to get two guys on him no matter what. Now the Rams know that too. This is like very simple football of, well, that's their best player, let's get a double team on him. And the Rams are going to go, well, let's put him in a spot where you can't double team him. I don't care where they line him up, because they get an overload fronts with three guys to one side and Donald on the other. You slide two guys to him. If they put him at a 3 technique and whatever, if he's out on the edge, you move the tackle and the guard over to him. Just get two guys on him, because when you get two guys on him, it felt like his win rate, or whatever you want to call it, was probably like 10%. I don't know, somewhere around there. And when he was solo blocked, oh man, it feels like 80% of the time he takes that guy to the woodshed. And the one thing that was interesting when I was watching film is something the Cardinals do. And you almost don't want to take anything that the Cardinals do because they got blown out. But what they did was they had James Conner in the backfield, and this was something that I postulated on Twitter, just galaxy brain idea. Hey, what if we just let the running back wait for him to lose, and then he goes and tries to block him too? And they did that, and it worked for a little bit. I mean, there were times that Conner got picked up and thrown into the quarterback, but I mean, it's an obstacle. It's something to get in the way of Donald. He's not going to hold up. But if you're just running 3-step drops or something, and Donald is isolated against Adeniji, and you don't have a way to get the center over to him, you just go, all right, get in his way, Mixon or P. Ryan or whoever. Just get in his way. You're probably going to take a shot. You're probably going to get picked up off your feet, but just slow him down. So there's a few ways, and yeah, it's going to be a battle of, can you isolate Donald against any of the Bengals offensive linemen? Because I mean, Aaron Donald's one of the best players in NFL history, and I think that's an interesting battle. But on the other end of that is when you are sliding guys and moving your protection around just because of Donald, it isolates Von Miller and Leonard Floyd on the outside against your tackles, so you have to trust them to hold up. Now, I mean, you could leave a tight end in on one of their sides and give them a chip, but there's going to be one guy that gets a one-on-one, and you're going to need that offensive lineman to step up. So I think that's one of the most important battles of the day, obviously. I mean, I think that's going to be the main talking point is Burrow takes 100 sacks in a season, and the Rams have Aaron Donald and Von Miller, two shoe-in Hall of Famers. So can they protect against that? The answer is probably not really, but when you need to, you got to just get two hands on each of those guys and hope that your guy can hold up against Floyd.
Yeah, exactly. You started to talk about Von Miller and Floyd, and it kind of goes down the line. I mean, it's not just the Aaron Donald show, and I think that's the tough part, right? I mean, we saw what Tennessee did, and yeah, Jeffrey Simmons was really, really good, but they had depth, and they had dudes, and it's not just one guy, and that's the thing here. It's not just Donald. I think that they'll certainly be able to get pressure with Von Miller, with Floyd, with guys even beyond that. How often are the others? And I guess Von Miller, I mean, he's considered almost a role player in that right now, which is kind of crazy. But the others, how impactful have they been? Maybe not all season long, but over the past 6 weeks or so, as the Rams have gotten healthy and played at the level they've played in this postseason.
Well, if Jake ever ends up watching that Buccaneers film, he could be terrified of Von Miller like I am, because he killed Donovan Smith on the left side and moved him over. Yeah, the backup right tackle got a few reps of it too, but he looked like prime Von Miller at times. He got a strip sack in there, strip sack against Brady like it was 2015. There was some moments in there that I was like, oh boy, that's get a chip on him too. But then there's other games you watch, and I don't know why, but Raheem Morris will drop him into coverage 10 snaps a game. And I mean, 1 or 2 snaps, I think that's fine, just as a changeup. If the Bengals are trying to get 2 guys on Miller, they end up wasting 2 guys or at least one of them. But when you're doing it like 10 times a game, it's like cool. I prefer him in coverage. He doesn't have like the spatial awareness to get Boyd's running a route behind him. He's not going to sink underneath it and get an interception. I mean, I'm not nervous about Von Miller in coverage. So hopefully you get a lot of that. Maybe the Bengals can figure out when they do that, why they do that, how they do that. I think it has something to do with when they put wide receivers into like 3 wide receivers on one side with a tight end on the other. I think that forces him to walk out sometimes just so you can't hit quick stuff. But if they can figure that out and get him to drop a dozen times in this game, I mean, that's a huge win for the Bengals.
It seems like one of the areas of Vikings like to attack a lot, and I keep referring to this game because it's the one that I've watched most recently, is behind those linebackers, behind the second level of the Rams defense. And to your point, if it is Von Miller dropping into coverage, that is something that you would want to attack. The thing that I noticed was it seemed to be on the weak side of the formation. So the Rams will do their 5-man fronts against anything that's heavier than 11 personnel. If there's 2 tight ends or if there's a fullback and a tight end, they'll put a 5-man defensive line on the field. And a lot of times they'll drop one of those guys out. And it seems like it might be the side without the tight end. That was, I mean, I'm sure it's more complicated than that, right? But that was my simple observation.
Honestly, not really. It's called a penny front, that 5-man surface that they use. And most of the penny front, they use Sam blitzes. So it's like penny Sam 8 would be their quarter half adjustment. And that's just bringing the Sam linebacker, the strong side, and you drop the Jack, which would be the weak side outside linebacker. And yeah. I mean, that's a lot of it, but they also run the saw, which is Sam and Will coming. So they'll bring 5. They bring 5 fairly often, but I mean, that is what happens, is that it's the weak side guy that's dropping. So good observation.
To me, there's a risk when you bring the 5 guys, especially because like they have no fear leaving Jalen Ramsey on an island. I think Raheem Morris talked about that this week. He was, we're going to dictate the matchups is essentially what he said when he was asked, are you going to leave Jalen Ramsey on an island with Jamar Chase? And they did it with Justin Jefferson, and he mostly beat the heck out of Jefferson. And some of that was on Kirk Cousins. It wasn't all on Jefferson. But to me, there's an opportunity there. Like if they're going to rush 5 and they're going to continue to play these middle of the field closed defenses, meaning cover 1 where they're keeping the safety in the middle of the field, or cover 3 where again the deep safety, the post safety staying in the middle of the field, you have corners taking thirds. They obviously don't only play single high coverages, but they've done a lot of that this year, including doing that. And those are the teams that I asked you for, Mike, against teams that I thought had a very good number 1 receiver, where maybe they would like to change their approach. Doesn't seem like that happens. Is that what you saw as well in the games you watched?
Yeah, I think early downs, they like to get into single high stuff. Now they like to show it as 2 high at the start. They don't like to just show up in single high and let you know what they're playing. But I mean, they play cover 1, cover 3 plenty on early downs. And I mean, the secret is in zone, they're not going to follow anybody with Jalen Ramsey. Jamar Chase can probably get whatever matchup he wants because they didn't do it to Adams. They didn't do it to Mike Evans. Nobody I've watched did Jalen Ramsey just lock on a guy for an entire game. Now, this is a Super Bowl. Maybe they say, okay, those were playoff games and those were important, but this is the game of the year. We need our star, best cornerback in the league, in their opinion. Also mine. To lock down.
And Tyler Boyd. Yeah, Tyler Boyd said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he is. I feel like just because Stephon Gilmore just took his step down as he got a little bit older. But anyway, you pay that guy, you trade for that guy, you have that belief in that guy, you can just lock him the entire game, but I just haven't seen it, so I don't believe that they'll do it. Now, 3rd down, lock. They lock him on every 3rd down. Adams and Evans, it felt like every 3rd down, zone man, they put Ramsey wherever that guy went, and I mean, that's annoying. But I mean, the real way to beat him is Mike Evans. If you watch the Bucs game, he gets Ramsey. Stop me if you've heard this. Late hands on a go route with a little push off at the end for a touchdown. I mean, that sounds like Jamar Chase if he can get that.
I'm also hearing, Mike, that maybe there's an early down passing opportunity here. We talked a lot about 1st down runs last week. Seems like this is a week where maybe you want to look at opening that up a little bit on those ambiguous downs.
Oh, definitely. And I think one of the battles of the game is just early downs, can you get Jamar Chase an advantageous matchup? I don't think the world of Darius Williams, and I don't know the nickel cornerback's name, but they both give up a lot of plays on film. Adams got the nickel for a huge slot fade, and the other guy, Williams, gives up plenty of plays too. So, I mean, Higgins has his opportunity if they try to lock Ramsey on. Yeah, early on, they're going to play zone. They're not going to match up, at least they haven't before. Anything's possible, but they're not going to match up best on best. And if you can isolate Jamar Chase against either one of those other guys, or if you want to isolate T. Higgins, who's a very good receiver in his own right, we talk a lot about Chase, but either one of those guys isolated against Williams or the slot, I think you're looking at a pretty nice advantage there. The only problem is, can you protect long enough with Donald and Miller coming, which hopefully.
And that's what it's going to come down to, right? Is look, Donald and Miller are going to hit Burrow and they're going to put heat on him. They just are. Like, let's not pretend that the Bengals aren't going to be able to do it. But can the Bengals receivers dominate that secondary and kind of wash it out? Have a couple big plays, have a couple, third down. That's fine. You want to take Chase away. Tyler Boyd should be, and we haven't seen it recently, but should be the best third down receiver on the team. Like, that's fine, right? That's so to me, that's the balance. Can the Rams defensive line whoop the Bengals offensive line? Of course. But will the Bengals weapons be able to do enough to make up for that? And with the way Joe Burrow's playing, because naturally you'd say, no, probably not. Burrow's not going to have enough time. But with the way Joe Burrow's playing, I think there's certainly a chance that happens.
And CJ Uzomah is the other guy that I think we should talk about. He seemed bullish on not missing the biggest game of his life in his Monday media session. So we'll keep an eye on him throughout the week.